The moment you decide to build an AI business, you feel like you're already late. Beat. But what if that feeling is a manufactured trap?
It absolutely is. You're not late. You're just overwhelmed.
Welcome to the deep dive. We're looking at a really insightful guide today. It's all about building a profitable, no-code AI business.
Yeah, the framework here is super practical.
Our mission today is to cut through that non-stop loop of hype. We want to help you pick a clear goal. You don't lack information right now. You just lack a clear decision. Okay, let's unpack this.
That is the perfect place to start. People assume their stress comes from a lack of knowledge. They think they need to learn just one more tool. They believe the secret is hidden in, another newsletter.
I have to offer a vulnerable admission here. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I get completely paralyzed by my own feed of AI news. It feels like a treadmill that never actually stops moving.
It happens to absolutely everyone. The space moves incredibly fast. But social media algorithms actually train our brains for constant alight mode. They push the most alarming, urgent content to the top. The boldest claims get all the clicks. After a few weeks, your feed just becomes this nonstop loop.
You feel like if you miss one day, you fall behind, you wake up and someone has launched a new model. The algorithm feeds on your anxiety.
Exactly. But here is the truth that the hype loop hides. Most tools announced in 2024 are barely used inside real businesses.
Barely used. 2-sec silence. That is wild to think about. You see these massive adoption numbers online all day.
Online, yes, but out in the real world, no. Thousands chased that AI agency model recently, but they built on unstable ground.
Right.
The people actually making money are not watching every single product announcement.
They're not chasing the shiny new object.
Exactly. They defined what an AI business actually is. It is simply using AI to solve a repeatable problem.
For a specific group of clients.
Yes, it's not about mastering every single skill available.
It's just fundamental business. You need a clear client and a clear price.
And a very clear result. Your overarching goal decides everything you do next. Earning $5,000 a month requires one specific strategy. Earning $50,000 a month requires a totally different architecture.
You need a highly repeatable process for the larger number. You cannot just wing it every month.
You really can't. Without a clear goal, every new AI announcement looks essential. You have to write down your target number. You have to write down your exact client type.
Is the goal really just picking a number and stopping the scrolling?
Yes. Setting that hard boundary filters out the noise. It clarifies your exact next step.
So define a clear target, pick a lane, and block out the digital noise.
Precisely. And once you block out that noise, you have to actually choose your lane.
Which brings us to a major concept from the sources. Specializing is your biggest advantage.
It really is. Many people delay picking a niche. They are terrified of missing out on other opportunities.
I see what you're saying, but let me push back a little here. Doesn't picking a hyper-specific niche mean you're leaving money on the table? You're actively rejecting other paying clients.
It definitely feels that way at first, but the opposite is actually true. Specialists get hired much faster.
Really?
Yeah, and they can charge significantly more money. When you choose a niche, you speak their specific everyday language.
You understand their daily friction points.
What's fascinating here is the raw data behind this. Only 26% of companies can deploy AI themselves.
Wait, only 26%? Beat.
Hmm.
So 3/4 of the entire business world knows AI is important, but they literally do not know how to turn it on.
That is exactly right. That creates massive, undeniable demand. Think about a busy dental clinic. If you run a clinic and need to automate patient follow-ups, who do you hire?
A generalist who claims they do AI for everyone.
Or do you hire someone who specializes strictly in healthcare? Someone who already built a system specifically for patient scheduling and privacy?
You hire the specialist every single time. The answer is obvious when you frame it that way.
There's a clear pattern in our sources. The highest earning niches are places where businesses are bleeding time on communication.
Let's talk about those industries. Local business automation is a huge one.
Think about a local HVAC company in mid-July. Their phones are ringing off the hook.
Right.
They're missing half the calls because they're under a house fixing an AC unit.
And every missed call is thousands of dollars lost.
Yeah. So you automate their customer follow-ups and review requests. You solve it for one HVAC tech. Then you roll out the exact same system to the next one.
The sources say 87% of real estate brokerages already use AI platforms. Hasn't the ship sailed for a beginner to step in?
You would think so. But they're mostly using generic, clunky software. They're not using custom automation. Real estate agents are drowning in lead qualification.
Ah, so you can build a system that acts as a lead qualification assistant.
Exactly. It asks the crucial questions instantly. Budget, buying or renting, preferred area.
Then it summarizes those answers for the human agent.
Right. E-commerce is another massive bottleneck. A Shopify store selling custom sneakers gets hundreds of repetitive questions daily.
Someone asks, "Where is my order?" for the 100th time today.
An AI chatbot handles 60 to 70% of these instantly. No human is needed. You train the AI on the store's specific shipping policies.
It ensures a reliable, consistent brand voice.
You can also automate the sales process for B2B companies. It filters hot leads and drafts customized proposals.
It works 24/7 to ensure you never miss a vital opportunity.
Content creation for traditional agencies is another huge lane.
A lot of marketing agencies still do this manually. It takes hours.
You connect an AI to a scheduling tool. You prompt it to write casual Instagram captions mentioning the daily specials.
The final niche mentioned is legal and compliance. Beat. This one feels incredibly high stakes.
It is very high stakes. You are scanning a commercial lease, you miss one clause about maintenance liabilities, and that is a $50,000 mistake. But models like Claude are excellent here. They have superior logical reasoning. They scan long contracts specifically to find unfair terms.
How do you know when you found the exact right niche for your background?
You look at industries you have already worked in. You write down the connections and spot the obvious bottlenecks.
Find the overlap between your past jobs, your network, and obvious business bottlenecks.
Exactly. That overlap is your unfair advantage.
Okay, so we have a niche. We know the friction point, but I know exactly what you might be thinking right now. I don't know how to code.
Many people believe starting an AI business requires deep programming skills. They think they need a computer science degree.
But the sources say that no longer matters at all.
It is the exact opposite today. The no-code era changes the entire landscape. You are a system architect, not a traditional programmer.
That makes a lot of sense.
Oh.
Cusack silence. I want to pause on that for a second. The idea of being a system architect. Your job is solving problems, not writing raw software. Building these systems is like stacking Lego blocks of data.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. You connect existing smart platforms to build automated workflows.
Let's expand on that Lego analogy. How do these blocks actually fit together?
Let's look at the essential tech stack. It usually starts with platforms like Make or Zapier. Think of Make as the conveyor belt in a digital factory.
It grabs the raw material and moves it along.
Right. It grabs a new email from a tenant. Then it carries it over to the brain of the operation, which might be Claude. Claude reads the email, decides it is a leaky faucet, and puts it back on the conveyor belt.
And the conveyor belt drops it into the maintenance team's Slack channel.
Exactly. You also have tools like Chatbase. It integrates raw company data into a smart expert in minutes. VoiceFlow is used for designing highly interactive chatbots.
So we have the tools, but what skills actually matter if we aren't coding?
Workflow mapping is absolutely crucial. You have to analyze a current, messy human process. You find exactly which steps to automate.
You also need lightweight API knowledge. Let's clarify that for a second. An API is a simple bridge letting two different software programs talk together.
Perfect definition. And the absolute most important skill to develop is prompt engineering.
Prompt engineering means writing clear instructions for AI to get useful, consistent results.
Yes. It gives the AI context, tone, specific actions, and length limits. That makes the output completely usable for a business.
You can learn all of this in a few weeks. History shows us a very clear pattern here.
We saw this with the early internet. We saw it with smartphones. The winners are always specialized businesses. They solve very real, boring world problems.
Is knowing the tools more important than understanding the client's actual workflow?
Not at all. Anyone can access these digital platforms now. The real value is in diagnosing the client's exact pain point.
Tools change daily. Understanding the client's underlying problem is your real competitive edge.
Exactly. The problem always dictates the tool, not the other way around.
Yep.
Beat. Mid-roll sponsor, read placeholder.
Let's take these Lego blocks and build a real house. Let's look at the specific property management case study from our sources.
This is a perfect concrete example of how this works. Imagine you worked at a property management company for 3 years.
That is your distinct unfair advantage. You know the exact pain points.
Tenant inquiries, maintenance requests, and late payments eat up hours every single week. You know the specific industry language. You know who the decision makers are.
So you target a very specific niche, property management companies managing 50 to 200 units.
Your core offer is an AI-powered tenant communication system.
Here's where it gets really interesting. How does the system actually function day to day?
When an email arrives from a frustrated tenant, the AI reads it and automatically categorizes it. Then it routes the notification to the exact right Slack channel.
So maintenance requests go straight to the tech team.
And check-in questions go directly to the front desk staff. You also automate routine rent reminders and late fee follow-ups.
Let's look at the pricing model for this specific system. The breakdown is very clear.
You charge $500 for the initial workflow audit. The setup fee is $3,000.
Wait, $3,000 upfront? Without writing any code?
Exactly. Because they aren't paying for lines of code, they are paying to stop the bleeding of their time. They are paying for a fully solved problem.
That makes total sense. And then there is an $800 monthly retainer.
Yes. With just 5 clients on that retainer, that is $4,000 in highly predictable monthly income.
Plus the initial setup fees. That is a real sustainable business model.
And then the compounding effect kicks in. You do this incredibly well for one company, they naturally refer you to 2 more companies.
Whoa, beat. Imagine scaling to 1 billion queries or rolling this out to hundreds of properties without adding overhead.
That is the magic of digital leverage. You already built the complex system once. The second and third installs take a fraction of the time.
Your effective hourly rate absolutely skyrockets. You don't have to work more hours to make more money.
That is exactly how a niched AI business compounds its value over time.
Does the retainer fee cover new builds or just keeping the lights on?
The retainer is strictly for maintenance and minor improvements. Any brand new workflow build is billed separately.
Setup fees fund the build. Retainers cover ongoing maintenance, tweaks, and predictable recurring income.
Exactly. It gives you one-time cash flow spikes and long-term recurring stability.
The math makes complete sense. But businesses still fail all the time. What are the landmines we need to avoid once we actually start?
There are 5 very common mistakes that kill an AI business early. The first is trying to serve absolutely everyone.
We talked about this a bit. A general agency is very hard to sell. Clients inherently trust specialists.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, generalists struggle because their marketing message is simply too diluted. They sound like everyone else.
The second mistake is focusing on the fancy tools instead of the business result.
Clients do not pay for a chatbot. They do not care about large language models. They pay to stop losing qualified leads.
It reminds me of the old hardware store adage. People don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill bit. They want a quarter-inch hole.
Perfectly said. The digital tool is just how you deliver the whole. 2-sec silence. And I think that is where 90% of developers get stuck. They fall completely in love with the drill.
Mistake number 3 is avoiding the business side entirely.
Many people learn the technical workflow skills, but completely ignore sales and pricing strategy.
You can build the most elegant system in the world, but if you cannot confidently ask a client for money, you fail.
The fourth mistake is waiting around for a perfect portfolio. You do not need 10 polished case studies to start reaching out.
You just need one clear offer and one willing client.
And the final fatal mistake is quitting a niche way too early.
You should only pivot if the market demand completely dries up.
Right. Changing your direction every 2 months is a massive error. You lose all of your built-up momentum.
Let's address some common logistical questions. What does this actually cost to get off the ground?
Surprisingly little. Most of these no-code platforms have very generous free tiers. You might spend a few $100s a year on software subscriptions. The real heavy investment is your time and focus.
And realistically, how long does it take to get that very first client?
If you leverage your existing professional network and your chosen niche, you can land a client in 30 days. You offer them a free initial audit to build trust.
If you are starting totally from scratch in a brand new industry, expect 60 to 90 days of outreach.
Deep industry knowledge beats raw tool knowledge every single time. It helps you close clients because you speak their language.
Why is quitting a niche early so fatal to an AI agency?
Because you intentionally reset your progress right before it gets easier.
You abandon your credibility right before the compounding effects of your templates kick in.
Yes, you start from absolute zero again, just as things were about to naturally scale.
So what does this all mean? Let's recap the big idea we explored today.
The blueprint is surprisingly simple when you strip away the hype. You do not need to know everything about AI.
You pick a specific financial goal. You choose a niche based heavily on your unfair advantage.
You build one clear, valuable offer using no-code tools. You find one client and deliver undeniable results.
And then you just repeat that exact process. That is the entire fundamental model. Everything else in your feed is just noise.
I want to challenge you right now as you listen. Look at your own calendar or your inbox today. What is the most mind-numbing, highly repeatable task you see?
That exact friction point is where a multi-thousand-dollar business is hiding.
It is just waiting for a calm system architect to come in and solve it.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. The daily AI news cycle desperately wants you to feel anxious. It wants you to feel like the window of opportunity is rapidly closing.
But the window is actually wide open for those who choose to focus.
Step away from the endless feed today. Make that one clear decision about your goal. You are not late to the AI revolution. You are right on time as soon as you choose your target. Out Tiro Music.